Hey y'all, if you're watching this, that means that my second longer video is out. Today I'm going to be doing my take on the album Hawaii Part 2 by Joe Hawley. I recently did an analysis video on his song Variations on a Cloud, which is one of my favorite songs of all time and one that I dedicated a 5-page lyrical analysis paper to. The funny part about analyzing this album is it's a little bit awkward now because after I posted that Variations on a Cloud video and then after I uploaded my most recent video, not the cover that 40 of you saw, by the way. If you saw that, no you didn't. Also, I'm sorry. But after I posted my most recent video hyping up this upcoming video, I went to Twitter to post the link and I looked up Joe Hawley's account and saw that he had blocked me. I just posted the promo video and then figured out he blocked me on Twitter, like, directly afterwards.
You know, that's really funny, though.
No, that's fucking hilarious. What the hell?
Is he not your favorite idol anymore?
No, I still love Joe. Like, I guess we can chalk this up to creative differences. We don't see eye to eye. According to some people that I've talked to, this is something that he just does. But I do want to say that, Joe, if you're seeing this video, since I know you saw the last video, I just want to apologize for any of the bad vibes that video gave off. Wasn't my intention to make it a call-out video or a video saying that you were wrong. In fact, it was my intention to defend your vision, but I do understand now rewatching the video that some things may not have come off that way. And regardless of my intentions, you know, it's wrong to imply that somebody's art is bad, and that's not what I was trying to do, but again, intentions kind of don't matter when you've hurt somebody's feelings. Should I say they really don't matter when you've hurt somebody's feelings. So I just want to come on here and apologize for any bad blood or ill will that I may have caused anyone. Again, Variations is one of my favorite songs of all time, so I really didn't want to give it a bad name by any means, and if any of you go watch that video after this one by chance, just know that I'm saying everything through a lens of positivity and just respect for the art that was created. And with all that being said, I just want to say before I start this video that this video analyzing Hawaii Part 2 is done with the same amount of respect that Variations on a Cloud was. Hawaii Part 2 is a very special album to me. I think it's brilliantly written. I think the lyrics are absolutely beautifully intentional, and this album got me through a lot of hard times in my life, as I'm sure it got a lot of you watching this video through. I should also say that this analysis is purely my opinion on what the piece means, and it actually does deviate from a lot of other analysis videos that I've seen, so take it with a bag of salt. At the end of the day, the only person who truly knows what this album is about is Joe Hawley, and I don't think that really he has any intention of telling us what it's about anytime soon, which I have respect for. It also means that your guess is as good as mine in terms of analyzing this content. So yes, this analysis is purely my opinion, it's purely speculation. You can watch this entire video and just throw everything I say in the garbage, or you can watch this video and agree with it, or you can just not watch this video. Any opinion that you have on this album is as valid as mine is. One last thing before we kick this thing off, I do want to give a trigger warning for suicide, themes of mental health, themes of medical malpractice, and also themes of toxic relationships. If any of these things are triggering to you, please click off the video now. Your safety matters to me way more than any watch time ever would. I just want to make sure that this is a positive space where everybody is willing and able to hear the things that I have to say in a safe manner. That entire disclaimer train leaving the station, I guess. Holy shit, I sound like Colleen Ballinger. I'm Wet Blanket, and on this channel I like to talk about things that I don't feel get enough attention in the commentary community. So let's start a conversation. This album kicks off with a shorter song called Introduction to the Snow. The lyrics of this song I will read now in their entirety because they're so short. Read, alone at the edge of a universe humming a tune, with sparkling crystals souls aglow. A part of thee in the key of what we know to be, every part without me, knows only two can make it light. You'll live forever tonight. I believe in the first line of this song, our main character, who I'm gonna call MC, is lamenting loneliness and remembering the sparkling crystal souls, or two people together, of their past. In the second line, I feel like he of what we know to be every part without me is a way of MC othering themselves, being left out, or more importantly, being forcefully removed. Every part without me kind of implies a kind of abandonment. Knows only two can make it light, I believe, is the main character feeling like they can't be complete or happy without their other half, metaphorically speaking. So I believe that these lyrics here are a kind of prologue, or a kind of preamble to what we're going to see. Our main character has obviously lost somebody very special to them, and now they feel like their life has no purpose because of it. The finishing line, "You'll live forever tonight," to me implies that the events of this album take place over like one period of time, maybe a sleepless night, maybe a mental health episode. I don't think that this is a dream per se. I think that it's more likely that it's a memory or an episode. Our main character is lying awake with the memories and regrets of what was. This album also includes themes of atonement and mistakes, so it can be inferred that what we are about to witness is a night full of regret and lamentation. Honestly, our main character didn't do everything right in this situation. I do like how right off the bat that this implies that our main character is somebody who makes mistakes and has regrets, and isn't this person who is a perfect person that we should trust necessarily. Right off the bat, we can even see like how mentally ill our main character is, and kind of the implied things that they're going through that led them to the point that they are, and I think that it's a perfect way to start the album. Being said, again, this song is very short, and that's just about all I have to say on it, so we're going to move on to our next song called Isle Unto Thyself. The intro starts with "Blinding shining star, you won't see so far." Now, it's important to note that this is sung by two people, a male voice and a female voice. I say in quotations because we don't know the genders of these people yet. So, "Blinding shining star, you won't see so far." I think that that's talking about things that already happened. Our main character tonight is only going to be remembering the past. They're not going to be seeing the future. They're not going to be seeing that far. So we're going to go back into MC's memory, though not very far back in the grand scheme of things relative to the entire universe. These events are small and insignificant, but to MC, they are crushing. It follows with the phrase, "know what can't be shown." I believe that this little phrase implies that our main character knows, or at least firmly believes, that they had good intentions in mind, though their actions prove to be harmful and show otherwise. "Know what can't be shown" implies that though MC's intentions were good, that's not what was shown on the outside. MC can't physically show that they had good in mind, but they still like to believe they are a good person. Then this follows with the phrase, "feel what can't be known." This previous thought is solidified in this phrase. MC feels that they are a good person, but they can't know for sure because of their actions. All they can do is try to explain themselves, which they will now begin to do. This song seems to be an even fuller and more in-depth recap of what we are about to see in the rest of the album. The first verse starts with, "You were an island unto thyself, you had a heart you hadn't felt. Why would it hurt me, or was it real?" I believe this is our main character describing how everything began. Their lover was something unfamiliar to them, and love was even more of an unfamiliar concept. An island thought unattainable before that was now right in front of them. On the other side of the coin, our romantic object, who I will now be calling RO, of this story, had never loved before either. They had a heart they hadn't felt. The love in this story is that of a first love. It's pure, new, and most importantly, extremely powerful. I bet everybody that's watching this video can relate when I say that if you've ever had a first love, it's not something that you easily forget, whether that be you wanting to forget or you not wanting to forget. Either way, it's gonna stick with you for a while. Verse 2, starting with, "was the night we had to part." I believe that this love was probably strained because of some sort of long distance. RO had to part, and that sparked fear between the pair. It left MC and RO wondering if they could heal and learn to navigate the struggles of long distance. I don't believe that "it was the night we had to part" implies the night that they broke up necessarily. because "and could we heal" implies that they're both still in this game. It's not "and could I heal," so I think that this is more of a long distance thing rather than like a hard stop end to the relationship. The bridge further explains the turmoil beginning to bloom in our main character. They begin cursing the fact that they fell in love in the first place, being a victim of the historically attractive and alluring music god Apollo. And if you also know anything about Apollo, it's the fact that Apollo was very, sexually assaulty. One thing that mythology tells us time and time again about Apollo is if Apollo didn't get who he wanted, he would pursue them and either take what wasn't his or kill them in the process. I know that this is a very harsh way to put things, but it is very, very paramount that you remember that fact. Our main character specifically uses the example of Apollo, not any other Greek god, but the god besides Zeus that is most likely known for the chase, pursuit, and undoing of every single one of his romantic partners. Like, the thing about Apollo is a lot of his partners die, usually at his hands. The main character was bewitched by the magic Apollo and describes falling in love as something as easy as following an instinct or a voice beckoning them, not realizing the amount of work and stress that comes with love and partnership. In verse 3, as I said, this story is a memory, so this line skips us forward to the fallout after the inevitable end of the relationship. It felt as if the sky was falling, and though it's been a while, though it's old lore now, it's still long but forgotten. MC acknowledges that this changed them, and now they will be forever changed. This is how most people feel after the end of their first love. I bet everybody here has heard this saying, oh, you just have to get over it. Oh, you just have to, brush the dust off your shoulders. Like, even though the end of this relationship is old lore, usually people get their first loves at a time where their brain is still developing. Love is an extremely powerful feeling, and it's extremely dangerous if you don't go about it in the right way. When this love ended, MC's planets fell to dust. It's old lore, but they're still very, very affected by it. In verse 4, MC laments about the nature of love. I believe camouflaging under strife is MC implying that they still believe that Aro and them could have worked out if they had simply been a bit stronger. Minds over matters and all that. If they had weathered the storm and kept their love for each other in mind, perhaps it could have worked. This is also foreshadowing the point to which MC will believe that Aro still loves them, even when everything points to the fact that they no longer do, or at least no longer do in that way. Maybe if we just weathered the storm a little bit more, maybe if we just tried one more time, maybe things could have been different. Obviously, as the audience, we know that we're about to watch a train wreck, and we know that there's probably no changing it, even if they were to have tried one more time. No matter how long ago this relationship was relative to this album, MC still believes that there was hope all along. When we're about to see, there very obviously wasn't. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. The outro asks a lot of what-if questions about the state of the universe. These what-if scenarios lead our main character into an overthinking spiral about the nature of the world as a whole. MC is wondering where it all went wrong. This causes them to go farther back into their memory to where it all began. Essentially, verse 4 and the outro kind of work together for our main character to say, well, what if it worked out? And then they kind of went down this overthinking spiral where they're like, why is everything the way it is? Why am I the way I am? And then, it's just spiraling and spiraling, and we're going further and further down the rabbit hole. And that's what I believe Black Rainbows is about. I pretty much see Black Rainbows as a transition song repeating the phrase, do you remember? We're on a journey going deeper and deeper into MC's memory. This is also where first mention of the Stella Octangula happens. As you may or may not know, this geometric entity is said to have the power to unlock the secrets of the universe for anyone that fully understands it. Many people have wondered what the fuck this has to do with this album. Though I don't have the answers, I can give you my take on it. I believe the Stella Octangula represents the mystery that shrouds the album itself. This album's creator has no intention on telling us what it means, and while I have mad respect for that, it also means that your guess is as good as mine, as I said in the beginning. Simply, I think it represents the fact that if you understand this album, it may be a gateway for you to understand parts of yourself and the infinite world around you. Neat. Also, yes, the words, the background words are pretty much just the colors of the rainbow. It ties back into the whole Hawaii theme. And it's also a tad controversial. This leads us into White Ball, our love song, right? Wrong. White Ball is MC's memories of this relationship put through a skeptical lens. Remember, they want to know how/when things went wrong. While on the surface this song seems like two lovers singing together in harmony and happiness, the lyrics tell a different story. Lines such as "bound by delicate dread" and "fate decides how these columns align" and "marble gods tango circles in space round the already dead" implies that our two lovers are unsure about their devotion and may imply that one feels unfairly bound to the other. This may be solidified in the line, "Each day I am new, I am yours." Slowly, they're losing themselves in each other, becoming more and more codependent. Remember, this couple is still long distance, so they have to put in even more effort into keeping in touch, and they may be taking it a step too far. In the end, our two lovers decide to dismiss their fears and throw caution to the wind as they indulge in these growingly toxic desires, becoming more and more and more codependent on one another. It kind of reminds me of that crazy ex that you had that would send you 80 text messages every 5 minutes that you wouldn't respond. These are the vibes we're getting. They end the song singing together about impossible bliss, which is really, really important and very clever. I take this to mean bliss that isn't actually there. It's impossible to be blissful like this. It's fake. They're pretending they're happy, but they're not actually happy. You know, just toxic relationship things. This leads us to our song most glaringly named Murders. This is the breakup song. Verse 1 foreshadows that the two were on a date, and our main character found their lover, while she, R.O., found the Earl King. Also, after mentioning the Earl King, it quite directly says the lover, which means that they're the same person, okay? Get an MC. I have to go on a little bit of an art song tangent with you guys because I am an art song hoe and also a music major. If you weren't forced to listen to Franz Schubert's Erlkönig in choir class, I'll tell you about what it was. Earl King is a song most likely sang by baritones, and it features 3 characters and tells a story, like a German folktale. The folktale follows as a man and his son are riding home through the woods at night, which is such a very safe thing to do in German folklore. Anyway, the kid keeps saying that he sees the Erlkönig, or the Elf King. I'll call him Earl King for you Yanks. Anyway, the Elf King, despite sounding like a whimsical Keebler creature, is actually very, very bad and also very murdery when it comes to children. So the dad's desperately trying to escape without his son literally dying, but obviously at the end of the story the son dies, or this wouldn't be a fun, happy-go-lucky German folktale. But yeah, the Earl King is a murderer of the innocent. Keep that in mind. Oh shit, innocence kinda like a first love. Going back to our date, R.O. had been discontented in this relationship for a while, and she was becoming more and more resentful of MC as a result. R.O. was planning to end the relationship tonight. Personally, I believe that MC was the more codependent out of the two, and R.O. was becoming really emotionally drained by this relationship as a whole, but that's just my opinion. That's just a theory. Verse 2, we know what they're doing. They're actually in the woods, and the date seems to quite literally be a picnic, and MC is venturing out with their lover, oblivious of what's to come. In Bridge 1, the line "wearying of the hate me not," I think references again to the tension present in the relationship. It also very cleverly makes use of the game they love me not, which I found was really cute. The small line at the end of the bridge, "wait they forgot, woe oh the rot," I believe this references the theme of the honeymoon phases in toxic relationships. Our lovers are tiring of the tension and stress and confusion present in the hate me not. They're just as quick to forget that fatigue when things are finally going well for a period, i.e. when things are good, they're really good, when things are bad, they're terrible. In verse 3, I believe this verse sums up our two characters' feelings while also foreshadowing future events. R.O. is oblivious of the terrors MC has in store with their reaction to being left, and MC simply at this point thinks nothing is amiss. In my personal experience, there's always one person in the relationship that does not see the end coming. Even if they think they see it coming, they don't really see it coming, and I feel like that's the position that MC is in. Bridge 2 is where things finally start to go awry. R.O. brings up the end of the relationship, while MC is trying to find the fountain of infinite mirror. Now what the fuck does that mean? I'll tell you what I think based on my own research and insight. Infinite mirror is a part of a polychromatic shape, sorta like a prism. But in this prism, the rainbow goes on forever because it's inside the shape. Rainbows are generally regarded to be a positive thing, and Joe Hawley has even remarked personally that he loves rainbows. And even in past songs, rainbows have had a direct connotation to R.O., and their memory. Also, the idea of finding a fountain in general is most often associated with the fountain of youth, one which makes you live forever. That being said, I believe the fountain of infinite mirror is a fancy-smancy way of saying the silver lining, or something that will help preserve the longevity of the relationship. Pretty much, MC is looking for a way out of being dumped. The next two lines in the bridge then talk about how alone they both are on this picnic in the woods. This is where I really divulge from the traditional analysis of this album. Well, that and the fact that I think this album is about a regular guy falling to insanity after the loss of his first love and not about a sailor named because a lot of people will say that this is what gives MC the incentive to kill RO, but I disagree. Despite the song being literally called Murders, I don't think any actual murder takes place in this album. Think about it. Would Joe really be so cut and dry? No, I think this murder represents the ego death of MC due to the ending of this first love relationship. This may seem like a stretch, but remember, Joe's the same man to use the term infinite mirror to mean silver lining, which is effectively a metaphor of a metaphor. I don't think he would name a song, yeah, this is where someone dies. Like, I just don't think that he would be the type to do that. I might be wrong, though. I'm probably wrong. Anyway, going with my interpretation, MC, realizing they're alone, goes against their better judgment and begins bargaining with RO. The end of this relationship is MC's worst fear, a fear that would even shake murders of murderers to the core. Remember, MC is completely codependent at this point, and the end of this relationship would be as painful as losing a loved one because of that. Heck, I would even say it's as painful as losing a part of yourself. In verses 4 and 5, MC's bargaining turns into manipulation, desperately grasping at straws and trying to do anything in their power to keep RO from ending things. The argument gets more and more heated as owls watch from the trees. This is referenced in the line about the owls watching the sound breaking below. This argument at its core is the painful ripping apart of two souls that grew too dependent on one another. This feels like murder to MC and they're fighting like hell. Both parties' true colors start to show at this point, and it's backed in the line shown what they were. I believe the lines coveting indiscreetly her for him or him for her shows that not only gender, okay, MC is a him and RO is a her, I'm not gonna, confirmed, but also that if MC gets his way, RO won't be happy, but if RO gets her way, MC will be crushed. No matter how this goes, one heart isn't making it out alive tonight. There's going to be a murder, but a metaphorical one. In Bridge 3, the bees and the birds knew the words. We all know how this is going to end, okay? Also, birds and bees, y'all know what that means. It's representing the relationship. But these bees and these birds, they already knew the words. They already knew how this was going to end. You can't keep somebody trapped forever. So, sure as night and day, RO leaves and the relationship ends on bad terms. MC is left alone in the woods, the outro being all he can muster the courage to say as RO leaves him in the dust. All for nothing at all. All the love, all the good times, all for nothing. MC feels himself getting increasingly angry, but calms briefly as he is struck with an idea in the line with something to do. There's only one thing he can do. Follow her. Final lines in the piece reflect the first, but switching the he to I, bringing home the idea that there is nothing scarier than a man who's lost everything. Brings us to Space Station 7. I'm just gonna give you the gist of this song because it's in both French and Japanese, and while I'm not gonna provide the word-for-word translation, just know that it makes many references to leaving. References to leaving all you know behind in pursuit of heaven. I believe this to be a very telltale sign that MC is preparing to follow RO, and yes, I mean in a stalkerish way. The song also claims that heaven is full of lies, which could mean two things. One, obviously MC is delusional if he thinks this is gonna work, and two, MC believes that RO is just lying to herself and really truly wants to be with him. Either way, MC now feels like he's been left with no choice but to stalk his ex. If you want to keep me accountable on the translations, I'll link the translation to the song in the description, but it's a lot. It's beautiful, but it's a lot. This leads us to the Mind Electric, which is the second Mind Electric that I've ever analyzed. So yeah, evidently our main character is not a very good stalker. RO knows who it is immediately, and let's just say it doesn't yield the desired effects. Our boy gets served with charges of stalking and harassment. The reversed section of this song is what I believe implies that he would take it all back if he could, especially since it didn't give the desired outcome. He kind of realized that he made an oopsie-whoopsie by following RO to her new place of living and stalking her. But don't worry, you better believe that he's going to pull out his ukulele and explain himself to all of us. Shit, I'm really dating these videos with the Colleen Ballinger references. After the reverse section, verse 1 serves as an exposition, or something implying that we are again traveling into the mind of MC in order to get an authentic reaction and see the memories of this event play out. Verses 2 and 3 is MC showing up to court. Verse 2 is mostly normal court jargon with one strange exception, the use of the phrase resident minor. You can infer from this statement that MC was under the age of 18 when this transgression occurred, but the fact that he was able to travel freely at this point points to the contrary. No, I don't think that MC is a minor, but rather wants to be portrayed as someone as innocent as one, or as insane. Remember, the events of this story, and especially this song, are taking place in MC's mind. This need to be perceived as innocent is reflected in later lines like, "I was just a boy, you see." If you still aren't convinced that MC wasn't a minor at the time, which I don't blame you, I wasn't entirely convinced either, I looked up whether or not you can charge a minor with stalking and harassment, and while you can, it's very unlikely. It's also very obvious from what happens that MC is being tried as an adult. Verse 3 is MC's attempt to justify his behavior, and we see his true motive: to prove insanity. He claims that while his heart was in the right place, he's just, well, insane. This testimony actually ends up working, but it's not anything like MC expects. As he's condemned to the infirmary, things quickly go downhill as the sky falls and the flowers crumble, and MC realizes what he's in store for. As he arrives at the gates of the mental asylum, he learns quickly that the overseers are his lords, and that he must cower and pray if he wants to survive. Which pretty much means that he's gotta comply with whatever experiments these people are willing to do on him. And they are willing to do things on him. The bridge is about electric shock therapy administered by doctors that MC calls nuns. Just a quick side note, all of these religious allegories in this song remind me of a large choral piece by famous 20th century British composer Benjamin Britten. The work, titled Rejoice in the Lamb, consists of poetry by Christopher Smart put to music. This specific poetry was written when Smart was in an insane asylum in the 1700s. Smart, being a religious man himself, uses religious allegories, specifically Christian, throughout the piece to convey both his suffering and hope. Y'all, seriously, you need to listen to the Britten piece if you haven't already and you're a music nerd like me. Honestly, the two are so similar in power that I wonder if Holly took any inspiration from this piece, like the inspiration he took from Franz Schubert's Erlking. Anyway, the rest of this song goes into detail about how MC hates his mind, how he feels it's stupid and easily tricked, and he desperately wants to know why he's like this and how to become him again. Though the electric shock therapy is incredibly painful, there's also a strange calm in knowing that he might yet be saved from himself. This leads us into Labyrinth, which this song goes so damn hard. Shane Ma and Kay did a fantastic fucking job on this song, like seriously, damn. Anyway, spoiler alert, the treatment isn't working. In verse 1, it sets the mood of the song, frantic and increasingly hopeless. MC is running from this clear yet unattainable goal while the beast, or his mental illness, is constantly at his heels behind him. He's trying to focus on the positive, but he is gripped by this fear of failure all the same. He keeps going, but he doesn't know if he'll ever escape this life of tests, pills, and insanity. He fears that he is irredeemable, trapped, and already past the point of no return. In verse 2, I believe the ex-girlfriend line is pretty self-explanatory. He feels the weight of his past deeds weighing heavily on him whilst he's still holding on to the hope that he can escape and find love again in the future. However, he's growing tired. Tired of running from himself, and more importantly, tired of the constant watchful eyes of the asylum staff. He feels day by day more and more like a science experiment or a mouse in a glass labyrinth being watched by everyone around him. He's losing faith that any of these people are actually trying to help him get better. He just wishes he could fly away. Time Machine takes a little bit of a jump. Finally, the court-mandated asylum stay has come to an end, he's been discharged, and he's leaving today. He ultimately feels nothing good has come of this stay in the end, and he has overpaid, but he's finally out. He can finally live the life he wants to live, he can finally find love, he can move on, he can indulge in his hobbies, he can binge-watch shows on Netflix, right? No! As MC returns to a home that feels more empty than ever, he begins to do something entirely self-destructive in order to try to cope with his ever-present loneliness. He escapes to the past. Now, instead of pursuing love and happiness like he formerly promised he would in Labyrinth, he now stares at his ceiling for hours, knowing no urgency anymore as he doesn't have staff breathing down his neck anymore, and the only reason he's able to keep on or continue living is because he's fleeting in this mode of making memories. He's living in the past because he so desperately wants to be back in there, and with RO. Despite his best efforts, he still can't forget about her. And he's using this toxic, self-destructive form of maladaptive daydreaming to cope with the fact that she is long gone. This soul-crushing realization leads us to Stranded Lullaby, and God, this song is so fucking sad. If you're familiar with Holly history, you know that this song used to be a love song, and it still is, but not in the same way. Bitches ain't shit. MC realizes he's nothing without R.O. He just doesn't understand why R.O. would choose to be without him. He doesn't understand why she'd choose to be alone while he himself is lost. He's lost in the meaningless turbulence of life. He says, "Maybe we'll be there when you want," implying that even though it's stupid and nonsensical to do so, he'll wait for her forever. Even though she took him to court and he broke all of her boundaries and she made it very clear she wanted nothing to do with him, he is still going to wait till the ends of the earth to see if she would change her mind. Why will he wait for her forever? Because he feels he has no other choice. He's anchorless, set amiss, and if he ever wakes up from this dream that Aro will return, he'll just be faced with a more cruel and crushing reality. He's alone. At the end of the song, MC compares himself to a loose end or a strand to RO, something she feels the presence of but is ultimately unimportant and even annoying to her. Nonetheless, he'll always be waiting for her to mend or understand. If I wasn't on SSRIs, I'd be crying right now. Like, in no way am I trying to justify MC's actions, but the fact that this song used to be an actual love song, like, anyway, we are now at Dream Suite in C major. And here we are, the last song in the album. Unfortunately, for as much as I'd like to say this is a happy ending, this ending is the reason for the trigger warning in the beginning. If you or anybody in your life is experiencing suicidal thoughts, I am leaving resources in the description of this video to help anybody out there that is having thoughts of suicide. It's a very real and scary and terminal affliction, and I don't think anybody could really understand the gravity of what comes with taking one's life, or having somebody in your life that takes theirs. So from the bottom of my heart, if this is you, or if this is someone you know having these feelings, thoughts, ideations, whatever it might be, please reach out for help, because you deserve it. Despite this being the longest song in the album, it was actually the shortest for me to analyze, so take that. Do with that what you will in terms of my analytical skills. Probably not very good. Anyway, the beginning of this song is similar to that of the first in the album, except for one thing. They aren't living forever anymore. They're flying now. Yes, I believe this is MC committing suicide. This song is about him traveling to the afterlife. He's strangely at peace now. After all stars were made for falling, right? He was a child born of one emotion, love for R.O. He saw himself serving no purpose anymore. Though that is obviously not true to anybody in this audience watching or listening to this album, this is a strong conversation on the power that mental health care really has. The mental health care that MC received, even if it was court mandated, was absolutely terrible. He was likened to a rat in a cage instead of a person that needed help, and so no help was administered. If anything, they kind of just experimented on him for a couple of months or however long he was locked up, and then turned him loose to be just as alone as he was when he got there. So, unfortunately, he didn't think he served a purpose anymore and he took his own life. The whale character in this song reminds me of some sort of guide taking MC safely to his final destination, being assuring and complimentary all the way there so that MC feels his soul is in capable hands. The ending of the song is not only gorgeous, but it's also a farewell to the world, RO, and the listener. MC has reached the afterlife, though he will still have to atone for his sins he committed on Earth. Even to the end of the song, he still believes that him and R.O. were never meant to part, but he acknowledges that there's nothing he can do about it now, except for work on his soul. And that is where us listeners are left. Wow, this album is powerful, and I know that this video was shorter than my Jash video, but I'm gonna be honest and say I don't even think a video of 5 hours could capture the beauty of this album. This is just my personal interpretation of it, and a Sparks Notes of said interpretation at best. This album does amazing things, and I don't even think that it knows that it does. It engages in a very important conversation on the state of mental health care in the world. It engages in a very important conversation and a cautionary tale on first love and being responsible with your emotions. It engages in an important conversation on codependency within relationships and knowing that relationships are about give and take, it's all about balance. MC, unfortunately, was a person who took too much and didn't have anything left to give because he didn't have anything left of himself. So instead of looking in the mirror and trying to find himself again, he instead decided to do something that was crazy, risky, and terrible. He made his first love feel unsafe for selfish desires. These are some themes in this album that are kind of just the type to sit with people, you know? I feel like I really just need to chew on every single thing that this album is trying to tell me, and this is even just my opinion on it. So if you've made it this far in the video and you somehow haven't listened to Hawaii Part 2, then this probably didn't make any sense to you, but also go listen to it. Anyway, yes, I'm sorry if this, analysis wasn't the best, but it's from my heart. It's what I feel that this album is about, it's what this album means to me, and I want to hear in the comments what this album means to you, because it's so special to so many people. Joe Hawley is a genius and a wonderful musician, even if he makes mistakes like blocking me on Twitter. No, but jokes aside, I'm really happy if you've reached this point in the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching. There's a still tension in the swamp of dreamt debris afloat amidst the waves and then dispel. Aimless thoughts and papers blown around. A million moments meant remembered rest in deep dark sound. Game the mess. I'd like to know why you are all alone while I'm lost at sea. Maybe we'll be there when you want. Anchorless and onboard settlements, awake would only prove the fantasy made lucid sense. Sail on, sail on. I'd like to know why you are all alone while I'm lost at sea. Maybe we'll be there when you want. There's a still tension in the swell, so given to the vast receiving emptiness of time beyond.